Alright, it has been a bit since I've been able to put up a new video, at least on my channel. Go ahead and check out John Cody's channel where I released a video last week, or earlier this week actually, maybe. And yeah, enjoy that. So anyways, we are going to be talking about Battlefield 2042, because this is something that I am looking forward to as many others are. It's been too long since we've had something that can keep our attention away from Call of Duty for the last year. Basically we either had Valorant, and that's about it. Like, there's not really a whole lot to go to other than some older games, Halo Chief Master Collection, and some indie games like 0 Hour or Squad. I'm not sure if Squad's completely indie or not, but you get the idea. Anyways, going on to Battlefield 2042, I wanted to go through a wish list, so that's what this video is going to be. I'm not actually going to have a script this time, just some bullet points, so this may ramble on for a bit. First off, the anti-cheat. There has been a report that the source code was leaked from EA. This was around the FIFA game, not directly involved with Battlefield 2042, but it was 700 gigs of data, and so there's a good chance that some of that may have related to the Battlefield games, if not Battlefield 2042 directly. Of course, EA is going to deny this. Let's not forget what happened with Cyberpunk 2077. CD Projekt Red denied this, and it turned out it was a lot more serious than they thought, so in any case, it's something to keep your eyes on, and it's something that we have to hope that whatever info that these hackers have are not up to date and will not affect the current product from the Battlefield game. And at the very most, I hope that we do see that EA, DICE, and anyone that they're picking up on for the anti-cheat is already working on trying to put up a firewall of some sort to prevent this from ruining the beta and just everyone's experience. I know a lot of players from the console side say, oh, you know, hackers is a PC side thing, but there have been some attempts recently to try and make those hacks work as well on console by using some very tricky methods that in a way cannot be detected through normal means, or through automated means at the very least. And yeah, this is a problem with the game industry. I know consoles want to say it's a problem with PC games, it's a problem with the industry. The industry does not take this seriously. Not all the time. Activision does take itself seriously when it wants to by issuing some cease and desist, but if they can't find the people that are making these cheats, well then they're just going to keep making those cheats. It does come down to actually protecting the game and having some kind of active protection rather than trying to play whack-a-mole. Moving onwards, we need map balance. I know these maps are going to be a lot larger than any other maps that we've seen in the Battlefield game, and probably larger than any game that I played on my own. And this is good and not great at the same time. As far as I can go back to, if you go to Battlefield 5, Battlefield 1, there's a lot of open ground. This does make it very easy for like sniper fire, and just to get picked off very quickly by just people sitting around in bushes or on top of a cliff somewhere, shooting down at you with all the time in the world. And that said, that is a playstyle, people can play that way, just that it's a little more easier to pull off in a Battlefield game compared to pretty much any other shooter out there. I know Battlefield does work primarily with vehicles, both just regular tactical vehicles like your jeeps and your motorcycles and horses, and then of course your tanks, helicopters, and anything else, your jets. Going on with that, I do think that they have to make a way to allow infantry players to shine in locations where infantry is going to overrun any kind of vehicle, and they're not going to be as easy to get sniped from a mile away from a sniper. Fortunately, with some of these maps, they are showing that there are going to be some enclosed locations. One of them is going to be a stadium, and that's going to be a lot of fun. I think that stadium is going to be one of the better places to fight on that map. We're going to have to see. That's just pure speculation because I don't have access to any pre-alpha stuff other than what's already out there on YouTube. So I'm hoping that they should try to make a way to keep it interesting for infantry players and allowing us to just move around the field in a little quicker of a sense than having to traverse a lot of open and empty land. This is the problem with big maps. They're not always clustered with biomes or towns that can protect infantry players from going from point A to point B, quite literally. And so I know they're going to say, I'll just use a vehicle, just parachute, or spawn on your teammate, and that's fine, but it's just one of those things. It's going to be a bit of an annoyance to see the campaign or the conquest continue to push from one side to the other, and then not being able to go anywhere anytime quick because of just how large the map is, and there's not really a quick way for a lot of your infantry players to move around because there's going to be a limited amount of vehicles. Alright, moving on, we're going to be talking about gunplay and weapon balance. We haven't seen any actual gunplay yet. We've seen gun models, we've seen that you can swap some attachments on the fly, and that's about it. I want to see how the weapons are going to handle. I want to see how the recoil is going to feel. A lot of that has to be done during the beta, unfortunately, because there's not really any other way to test that other than with actual hands-on experience. And at the same time, I do hope that they do put some work into weapon balance and make it so that there's just more than 1 or 2 weapons that you're going to use because, well, every other weapon in the game sucks. This is something that DICE has had issues with in the past because they just don't know how to make effective weapons, or they just baseline weapons on their real-life counterparts and then spend the rest of the year swapping out their damage model, swapping out the recoil pattern, putting in a recoil pattern like we saw in Battlefield 5, and just different things like that where it was more of an afterthought than it was like something that should be taken a little more seriously, in my opinion. I know a lot of people say that, well, Battlefield isn't a game like that, you know, there should be more than just meta weapons, etc. And by all means, definitely, I think any gun should be viable in a game, and there should only be like 1 or 2 joke weapons, but currently in almost every game we play, it's essentially the opposite, where you only have 1 or 2 guns that are actually worth using, and then everyone else is just a joke weapon. So that's just a pet peeve of mine, just something I know the industry doesn't quite have handled just yet, and I hope that they do figure it out. At the very least to a point where there's at least 5 or 6 weapons that are worth using, rather than just 2 or 3. And shotguns don't count, sniper rifles don't count. People use those things and they're balanced pretty much as best as they can, and otherwise they'll just be worse than or better than any other gun. Those are probably the most trickiest type of weapons to balance, and so with that, I don't mind if those are underbalanced. I don't mind if those are undercooked and not great to use, and rather than it be the other way around. I do hope that we see some more ARs, some more SMGs, and just some things that are fun to use that may not be meta, but they have some type of gimmick to them where they just have a high rate of fire. You know, just as regular typical gunplay tricks to try and make a weapon feel different, but still have a somewhat consistent result with them. Moving onward to the Specialist. I know Specialist is something that a lot of people are kind of for and against. It is a bit divisive currently because you have some people saying we should have class-based roles, so everyone just plays whatever class best suits their situation, or instead of having a specialist that can be a hybrid and can kind of do a little bit of everything. The thing is that this argument for me doesn't hold water, and I do think that specialist is probably the best solution possible for a Battlefield game, because in the previous games, or in any Battlefield game, there is no class limitation in those games. So that means if an entire team wants to be a sniper, the entire team can be a sniper. If a team wants to play support, a teammate can play support. There's no limitation to force a player to play a role they don't want to play. The only time they have to do that is if they're in a situation where they have to do that. Such as, if you play in Conquest mode, you know, you have to go against tanks all the time, you're probably going to be playing an engineer, support, or sniper because of the C4 and the rocket launchers. Whereas if you play as a medic, you have zero way to go against a tank. And that's just not something I feel is right, especially for a Battlefield game, when you have 100 players running around and you're the only one that can't do anything against a tank. All you can do is just heal people up. And don't get me wrong, I do like class-based games or stuff like that, but they are very tricky to balance, and usually this is the end result. Just a bunch of people wanting to play the same one class because, well, it's the one that gets the job done.
You know what's really funny to me? Ubisoft keeps trying to nerf operators' recoil patterns when they don't understand that it's just like a type of player, dude. Like, it's just a type of player that you have, okay? You nerf Ash, they play Zofia. You nerf Zofia, they're gonna play the F2. You nerf the F2, they're just gonna play, I don't know, whatever, G36 Ash. Like, they all play the same thing. They just find out what is the highest potential operator to get frags, and that's all they do is they just play that operator. That's it. They're already halfway, they're all moving to Twitch now. It's called a ranked rat, okay? You can nerf Ash, you can nerf Vigil, you can nerf whatever, Jaeger, you can nerf Zofia, but you can't nerf a playstyle, okay? You can't nerf the creature.
I know other games like Overwatch and Rainbow Six Siege do have those class-based things. They are smaller games and they are based around those classes so that you need them for each scenario, and then you can swap them out for another class. And I think that's more or less the same idea here, just that it's going to be less swapping around and more just using what you're comfortable with. And you can always make the debate or discussion saying, no, you should force players to play something they don't want to play. But at that point, it's a video game. I'm going to want to play what I want to play because I'm comfortable with it and I want to have fun with it. So if I'm going to be forced into a class I'm not going to have fun with, I'm not going to play the game. Moving onwards to new game modes, we know that they're going to have a hazard zone mode, which is going to be a squad-based mode, and that's going to be pretty neat seeing that happen. It's not going to be Battle Royale, that's what they claim, so we'll have to see what the exact specifics are on that, but I am looking forward to those smaller kind of modes. And I am hoping for some smaller scaled modes as well that showcase gunplay and infantry tactics, so we have something that actually has a lot more of a first-person shooter feel compared to the other games that we know and love that come back into here on the Battlefield side. And perhaps if the gunplay is up to snuff and the map design is good enough, we may even see some competitive possibilities out of that. I know Battlefield by no means has ever been competitive, but there have been attempts quite a few years to try and make that a thing. Since Battlefield 4, Battlefield Hardline, and I think Battlefield 1 as well. It just never panned out because, well, there were too many gadgets, there were too many weapons, and there wasn't a way to counter each and every tactic. And when you have such an open-ended game like this, which is what a sandbox game is, then you can't have a competitive experience. Even games like Call of Duty struggle with this because they want to give you every single tool in the shed and then have fun with it. But that also goes against competitive play because you do need rules and regulations. What does the CDL do? They ban pretty much half of the game's features because otherwise it would be too complex of a mess to have any fun with. And lastly, the last thing I want to talk about is weapon blacklist options for custom servers, and I hope we do get custom servers with this game as well. What do I mean by a weapon blacklist? Essentially a pistol only server, no explosive servers, no shotgun servers, or even no destruction servers where you're just turning off the ability to destroy buildings. Things of that nature. This is something that we've been wanting since Battlefield 4, and we have yet to have. And this is also plays into that competitive thing, because you do need to blacklist weapons to make a game, a open sandbox game like this competitive. So I do hope they actually give us the tools to do so we can have fun with it, even if it's just presets like no pistols, or no explosives, or no shotguns. Just something where the players have control to create the experience they want and not the experience that the developers want. And at the end of the day, the developer gets to create the base game, the base vanilla game, and we can have fun with that. But if there's a community of players who want to have a different experience on the same platform, they should be able to do so. We were able to do so in Battlefield 4 only by scripting the custom servers, and even then, that wasn't a good fix because people could still equip the blacklisted weapons. It did not make those weapons unavailable, it just insta-killed you or kicked you out of the server if you used those weapons and got a kill with it. So these are my primary concerns with Battlefield 2042. I do hope all of them do get addressed. I do hope all of them do end up being positive. I am looking forward to this game a lot. I want to spend a lot of time in this game. This one and probably Halo Infinite's multiplayer as well. But this is probably the one I would want to be playing primarily. And especially have something to play over Call of Duty because I am kind of getting tired of that game. I am getting tired of all the headaches that come with it. So I want to see the headaches that come with this game and hope that it outweighs what Call of Duty's been doing. I do hope that with Battlefield, since they have had more experience with online multiplayer games on the PC side of things, that they are more ready for hackers and being able to close the door on them as best as possible. The other thing is that since the game is going to be full priced and not free to play like Warzone is, that may also make it more difficult to see more players come in until there's a sale or until there's a mode of some sort that is free to play. So in any case, that's all I have to say about Battlefield 2042. I do hope that we have fun with this game. I do hope it comes out to be like one of the best games of the year, and if not, one of the best games for the next 5 years. So thank you very much for watching. I am Mr. Rain, and I'll see you guys next time.